Welcome back. Now let's talk about the default parameters. So let's start this session about functions with one of the easiest parts, which is the default parameters. And a new session means a new starter files. So just go ahead and grab this session 10 from your download JavaScript zip files. So grab the starter file and open it. So let's continue. Let's talk about default parameters. So sometimes it's useful to have functions where some parameters are set by default. So this way we don't have to pass them in manual cases. We don't want to change the default. Now in this session, we are going to continue with the airline theme that we started at the end of the last session. And so let's now create a very basic booking function. So for that here, let's write constant create booking. Let's say here function. So here we want our flight number, right? And also here we want number of passengers, and also we want the price of the flight, right? And let's simply use this data to create a object and push that into the some booking array. So booking and we use enhance object literal syntax here. So let's just say constant booking. Here let's say flight number, comma, passengers, comma, price. And here we'll just console log this. Let me just create here one more constant here, booking. So I'm setting this array to nil. Okay. So here we'll write booking dot push of booking. So basically, for the airline to keep the booking in some kind of system. So this is all very fictional. So it's just to show you the default parameters in this case. And speaking of that, based on what we learned in the last session about short circuiting, so how we implement default parameters. Well, let's just start by calling this function without specifying some parameters and see what we get then. So let's just start creating here booking here. Create booking. Let's just say here LH 123. This is going to be our flight name. Well, when we run this, so what we wanted to see here was the num passengers actually, and the prices are set to undefined because we didn't specify them, and so we can use the short circuiting to our advantage because we know that these are falsy values. Okay, but I'm going to do here is basically the old way of setting the default parameters. Just to remember, it would work before ES6. So let's say I wanted to set the number of passenger to 1 by default. So here we also again use the booking scheme variables. So it is giving me, right. So let me just here use the bookings, yes. And also here before logging itself. So let me just create here num passengers equals to num passengers or we are setting here to 1. So this line here, which is the default value, and this works because for the reason that we learned in the last session, whenever it is a falsy value which undefined is, then the result of this OR operator here will be the second operand. So the value here in this case is the 1, and now we can do the same thing with the price as well. So here we'll say the price. So let me just run it and show you. See here we got our flight number and the passengers by default, which we given here 1 and 189. So this is here before ES5, right? So here, let's just say here. So here in the ES6, instead of declaring these variables here, we can just directly declare them here. We'll just set it to 1, and then here we'll set it to 199. See here it runs perfectly the same. We see the same result, right? Here you can just say here. Now as you can see here at the price, you can just see here the price is changed automatically as you see here, right? And also here instead of just multiplying the price here default price, so here anyway you can set here this directly to the num passengers as well. As you can see here, for suppose you just say here 5, and then you see here the price automatically it just changes. So we'll just keep it to default for now in our example here. Okay, and let's just create some more examples here, the login. So create booking. So we'll just say LH123. So here we'll say 2 and 800 for suppose. As you can see here, it overrides the default values and just gives the new input values as you can see here in this. And also let me just say create booking using the LH123, and here let me say here I just declared here only 2. See here automatically the passenger here is 2, and here the price as you can see here, right? It is just taking simply double. How? Because num passenger here the value is 2, 199 into 2. So here we are getting the price here automatically, right? So similarly, let me just show you here one more example. As you can see here, now we given here a num passenger 5, right? So 199 into 5, here you get your output C. And so the price is now dynamically calculated by the default based on the value we specified and to the number of passengers. And again, this only works for the parameters that are defined in this list. Okay. So let me just show you here. For suppose you just copy this and here you paste it, and then here you just remove it. And let me just save it. See, when you try to change these price and num values here alternately, so here it doesn't work. So another thing that's important to note here is that we cannot skip arguments here when we call a function. So let's say we wanted to leave the number of passengers as the default value, but then specify the price. So we cannot do this way. So let me just here say create booking. Here let's say LH of flight number here 123, and then for suppose here I say some 1000 here. So this 1000 here is assigned to the second parameter. So suppose let's just say here undefined. Okay, so we want our num passengers to be the default value 1. So how do we do that? So let's just simply here do here the undefined. As you can see here, the num passenger now here is for getting from default value here 1. So this 1000 is allotted here to the price by here, as you can see that. So this is the trick here. We don't set a parameter, and so we don't pass an argument into the parameter. Then it will take the value of undefined. So specifying undefined here is exactly the same. So that is how we basically skip a default parameter that we don't want to leave it as its default, so that we want to leave it as its default, right? So as you can see here right now we got our default value 1, and in the price here as 1000. Okay, so yet another very nice addition to the language in the ES6 here, and that's pretty straightforward to understand. So see you in the next video.